Good evening, everyone. My name is Shadow the Hedgehog, and today I will be reading you all Chapter 14 of The Walking Dead Hope, the Walking Dead fanfiction written by Goofy Gomez from Wattpad. Now, this is a love story between Louis and Clementine from the video game franchise of The Walking Dead. Now, apparently I've heard about The Walking Dead once or twice, and I've seen some cutscenes from the game, but I never got a chance to play it. But maybe after reading this fanfic, I could give it a chance. Goofy Gomez, thank you very, very much for giving us permission to read your story. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get reading. You want to talk about what happened back there? Johnny's gentle voice broke through Louis's troubled thoughts, bringing his attention back to the former baseball player. His eyes stung from earlier, the ghost of his tears lingering on his cheeks. Johnny looked at him from the corner of his eye, his brows tightly knitted. "I'm sorry, all right," Louis breathed, closing his eyes. Every time he did, all he could see was Miles. The image of his first human kill haunted him, and he feared he might go crazy soon. "I'm not mad, Louis," Javi assured the man, turning left on the side road that would lead them to Richmond. "I know why you did it. Heck, I've done worse from time to time." "You have?" Louis asked incredulously. "I killed a man in cold blood, Javi. What's my problem?" He wondered out loud, looking down at his hands. They were shaken at that point. A fresh rush of adrenaline coursing through his body. "Sometimes you gotta do bad crap for the sake of your loved ones," Javi argued, shrugging. "I'm not saying what you did was right, but I get that it needed to happen." "Can't help us so," said Louis, still arguing against himself. "He gave us the exact information we needed, and Moore and I just shot him." Ouch. Would you rather he went back to Myers and told him all about our little rescue plan?" Johnny asked as they pulled over by the gate of Richmond. "'Cause that's what was gonna happen if we let him go, I guess," Louis muttered, still looking down at as they got out and made their way to the admin building. After the incident, Johnny had briefed Gabriel on the new information, reminding him they'd be back before nightfall. True to their word, the sun was barely 3/4 of the way down when they arrived at the main office. Gabe sat at the desk, fiddling with the handgun. When he spotted Javi and Louis, he stood up and offered his uncle a bone-crushing hug. "Glad you're back," he said. He shook the freckled man's hand, and the three of them gathered around the map on the desk to survey the information. As promised, Gabe had outlined every piece of intel Javi and Louis had gathered, marking the key points where needed. The third pin that used to represent the right arm had been replaced with a rough sketch of its perimeter and the location of key buildings. "This could be the infirmary." Javi pointed at a large rectangular structure on the west side of the compound. With the marker he scrawled a red cross on it. "Why is that important?" Louis asked with raised eyebrows. Well, if by some chance they find out Clem's pregnant, the only other place she could be is there," Javi explained. "Of course, our main objective is the holding cell," he added hastily, jamming a finger on the target building located near the west wall. "We can go in through this sewer system on the west side, but we have no idea where we might find a manhole cover," Gab said, tracing the possible route the pipes could take them. We gotta take that chance," Javi replied. "With some luck, we might be able to sneak in without the guards even noticing we're there. That is, if we haven't gotten shot before we even get close to the wall." Louis piped in, crossing his arms. The two men pursed their lips, looking at him with equal looks of concern. They tried to comb the sketch in search of a solution to that problem. When Gabe pointed out the watchtower the pair had encountered as possible vantage point for a sniper or lookout, Louis looked down awkwardly. The other man took no notice of this, as he and his uncle delved into a possible roster to the rescue party. Despite his best efforts and his years in a relationship with Clementine, Louis had never quite developed the skill of strategizing. This was noticed by Javi, who suggested he rest in his room until they were ready to leave. "You sure?" Louis asked, tilting his head. "Don't worry, Game and I got this," he assured the man, patting him on the shoulder. Louis nodded and thanked the two men before exiting the office and heading for his own room on the second floor. The hallways were mostly deserted due to it being almost dinner time, and everyone either staying in or going in the common cafeteria. As he walked, he thought of Clementine again. This time, however, his thoughts were more helpful than fearful. They were finally in the home stretch, he thought. For a moment, he even forgot his questionable actions that day in favor of letting himself enjoy the feeling of elation he knew he'd feel once he laid eyes on his wife again. His thoughts were interrupted for the second time that day. When he bumped into someone, he turned to offer his apologies, freezing up when he spotted a mane of wavy black hair that belonged to Elizabeth. Tripping over his words, he opened and closed his mouth repeatedly before she helped him out. "Sorry, I wasn't looking where I was going," she said, to his surprise, looking down. "It's all right," he offered, awkwardly scratching the back of his head. Lizzie chose to stay silent, tucking a strand of jet black hair behind her ear and turning on her heels. Louis watched her go in the other direction before resuming his walk towards his room. When he opened his door, he was almost knocked on the floor by AJ's arms wrapped around his chest, placing his hand on the boy's head. He looked up to see not only Violet but Azim and Ten standing by his bed. He allowed himself to laugh as he returned AJ's hug, closing his eyes. "What are you guys doing here? You didn't think we'd let you rescue Clementine on your own, did you?" Violet inquired, punching him on the arm lightly. Louis looked at Azim and cocked his head. "Did Ruby give you permission to come here?" he teased with a smirk on his face. "Shut up, dude," Azim said, a tinge of red settling in his cheeks. Clearing his throat, he added, "Gabrielle already briefed us on the situation. I think we should be able to get her nice and easy." "I hope so," Louis said, nodding. "You're all coming, right?" he asked the group. "Of course we are," AJ quipped joyfully, almost jumping on the balls of his feet. Louis pursed his lips, looking at the boy. He crossed his arms, looking at Violet for help. The blonde shrugged at him. "I don't think you should come, little dude. It's too dangerous," he said, frowning. "What?" AJ exclaimed, glaring at his adoptive father. "Louis, Clem is trapped in there. I'm not going to sit around in Richmond waiting for you guys to rescue her." But what if Louis began before being cut off? "I'm going, Louis," he declared with his hands on his hips, a habit he picked up from Clementine. Louis knew. "I'm helping you get Clementine back." Louis sighed, shaking his head. Years on the road had forced AJ to grow up faster than any kid should have to. As he stood there, glaring daggers at him for even suggesting such an arrangement, Louis couldn't see a 10-year-old boy. He saw a young man determined to save one of the only people he'd ever loved. "All right," he conceded, making a smile return to AJ's face. "But no unnecessary risks, okay?" "None," promised AJ, raising his pinky finger at Louis, who chuckled. "Maybe some things you just don't grow out of," he thought with a smile. He hooked the boy's finger with his own, nodding at him. 30 minutes later, the group had joined Javier and Gabe at the gate and was on its way to the right arm. The leaders of Richmond were at the front of the car, with Louis and AJ in the back seat. Violet, Azim, and Ten had taken the other. Their headlights flashed in the rear-view mirror of Javi's Mustang, letting him know they were still on their tail. And this is where we'll stop for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 of Shadow the Hedgehog reads Chapter 14 of The Walking Dead